Hello and welcome to the show. We have something to celebrate today. This is the 50th episode of the 77%. We are dedicating today's show to particularly strong African women, the survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, women who are fighting for the rights of girls and women across the continent. But before we start, just a warning to survivors of domestic violence and rape, they may find parts of today's content disturbing. Here's what's coming up. In our street debate, we speak to survivors of domestic abuse and rape in South Africa. Namibian artist Ease with a song against gender-based violence. And in Kenya, an 11-year-old wows us with her art. Sexual violence is a massive problem in South Africa. Every day, the police records more than 100 cases of rape. It's believed that most cases are not even reported. A group of young activists wants to get people to speak out against this violence.
Port Elizabeth. At a cemetery in Walmer Township, Andisi Way in Belekani visits the grave of her friend. 7 years ago, Cindy Gamanda was brutally raped and murdered in the dunes of the nearby beach. Fear is a constant companion for Mbelekani and many other young women in South Africa.
Young girls are vulnerable, are living in fear. We are not safe anywhere, even in our own homes at times for most of them. So it's scary. I am scared for myself. I am scared for my younger sisters, for the women, for everyone, for the children I even work with.
Mbelekani works for the Child Activists for Prevention campaign, an anti-violence initiative that is run by teenagers from Walmer Township. The campaign is supported by the NGO Masifunde. Mbelekani mentors a group of 16 learners who help peers suffering from abuse. Today, Mbelekani meets with 3 child activists at the local library. They want to produce short video messages for social media to explain how to report sexual abuse.
Giving young people a voice and encouraging them on ways they can use to speak out and also raise awareness around the issue of child abuse and gender-based violence in their own comfortable ways, using their skills, using their talents.
The videos are popular. Teenagers across South Africa watch them, and many comment, describing their own experiences of sexual violence or asking for help.
So that is why I say, stand up, take an action, and speak for yourselves.
Today is Jack Ayabonga's turn to record his message.
But we should speak up, and we should all understand what abuse is. And I think that we mustn't take it lightly. Thank you.
Jack hopes that he can mobilize men and boys around the issue of sexual violence because it matters not only to women, but to all.
1 minute. I think we as men should unite to stop women and child abuse, because I think this is something that might destroy our future as a nation.
It destroyed Amakle Gladley's life. She was a member of another program for violence prevention by the South African police. Amakle was a school safety campaigner, but kept her own suffering a secret. For years, she was abused by a family member. She took her life after she fell pregnant. At Masifunde in Walmer, the child activists have a video call meeting with Amakle's friends from the other youth group. Her death motivated both groups to work together to amplify their voices. The young activists dedicate their campaign against sexual violence to Amakle in an effort to commemorate her life and to make sure that her passing was not in vain.
Because her story isn't just her story, it's the story of others, and it gives us much more reason to continue. And now we are able to collaborate with other people who are not even in the same place as us, but we know that these things occur, so we just keep pushing the legacy.
At the cemetery in Walma, Mbelekani finds hope in the thought that Amahle's legacy will encourage other victims of abuse to speak out. Too often, sexual abuse stays hidden because victims are too terrified to name their tormentors. The group's message is clear: we have the right to be heard.
That is also what we are doing in our street debate, giving survivors of rape and domestic abuse a voice, because many are afraid of even telling family members or friends what was done to them. My colleague Christine Mundwa was in Johannesburg. There she talked to two women who tell the harrowing stories of being raped and of being beaten up.
The 77% is in Johannesburg. Now, around the world, women are fighting for equality. But in this country, women are also having to fight for their safety. That is because South Africa is one of the most unsafe places in the world to be a woman. On today's street debate, we're asking the question, why? Why are women being victimized in this way? I'm joined by my panel today, and I'm going to start off the conversation with Jackie. Jackie, tell us what your experience was.
So Christy, my experience was a gang rape. We went to a club with a group of friends, and little did we know that we were going to be coerced into a room upstairs inside the club, and a bunch of men came in, and I was gang raped there. That's my first encounter with sexual violence.
Right. We'll come back to you, Jackie, because I do want to establish you in the conversation as well, Tracy. What has been your experience?
Christine, I grew up in a home of domestic violence, and as a child, I knew that I never wanted to live a life like my mother. I wanted my life to be completely different, and it wasn't. I found myself in an abusive relationship and being beaten up at some point in my life.
Right. Begisisa, I want to bring you into the conversation right now because you have told us that you were a former perpetrator of violence against women. Tell us what exactly that means.
Well, at the age of 16, I went to see my girlfriend where she was staying. But the idea was quite simply to take them home so that we could have sex with them. And then we took them, literally against their will. We were armed, no firearms, but we were armed with knives. So, but it goes back to the time when I was 10.
Right.
When my brother molested me. So I grew up with this idea that sex is something to be taken and not negotiated.
Right. Okay. Were you angry? I just want to understand how you felt, how you dealt with what you experienced.
At that point, I felt like, are we ever going to be safe in any social space?
Right.
And I was traumatized for life. Then going into adulthood where you start dating men who are narcissists, they have no social compassion, more especially if they hear that you've got
called Stimela. Stimela as in the train. Young men will queue up outside a house to rape a woman. It was never called gang rape, it was never called anything. It was called Stimela.
I want to get back to Jackie because you seem to have resonated with when he talked about Stimela, the train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I reflected on it later on, just to understand in my head, I realized that for them it was a game. Who has the longest stamina, who had the raunchiest things to say to a young child. As a matter of fact, it's like we want to see more. We want to see more of your tears, more of you screaming, more of your blood, you going in and out of consciousness. And I actually wish that I was really dying in this moment. So what he's saying is completely right. That's what they did.
Right. Etienne, I'll come over to you now. I mean, you've been listening to everybody speak here. You're a psychologist. Yeah. Help us understand.
what I hear is that society creates scenarios in which this stuff becomes acceptable. And I mean, I want to be clear that this is not just mentally ill people as we understand them who are doing it. This is everyday people, right? Yeah. But the culture that surrounds us is one which says this sort of behavior is okay.
Yeah. Can you talk through your experience and why you might not have reported your experience?
I was so traumatized.
Yeah.
So scared for my life because the person who raped me happened to be part of a big political party in South Africa. And for years I was harassed. And you get the backlash also from family, where you tell them that this was done to me. And they said, oh, well, you were not a virgin anyway. So why is this important now? Why are you still crying over it? So you get that feeling of shame over the years, and you feel like, let me just hide.
And perhaps maybe thousands of victims in this country feel the same way that you did. We're still talking about making South Africa a better place for women. Can you maybe talk to us about what could be done in the kinds of places, in the villages like you grew up in?
So we need to start almost a new culture that regards women as nothing other than human beings. And to know that if we speak about our own hate and our own terrible actions against women, we are not letting the team down, because that's what I've been told, that I'm no longer part of the team.
Okay.
Because no man talks about these things.
Right. Okay. So a message to men there. Jackie, what is as we close this debate?
Why aren't other men saying, okay, I also come forth, I take full responsibility for what I've done over the years. This is the way I'm going forward, and this is how I'll educate the next boy child.
Yeah, sure, Etienne.
Sorry, it's things like sexual harassment, right?
Exactly.
It's things like catcalling on the street. All of these things contribute to the culture, and that's the kind of stuff that needs to be rooted out as well. That, you know, the so-called locker room talk is no longer acceptable.
Yeah. It never should have been.
Never should have been.
Tracy?
So I think Etienne is right. We need to talk about it. Now, Jackie and I have both written books about our experience, as has Becky Sisa. And when we write our stories, we don't do it to share our shame. We write our stories to give permission to other people to tell their story. So I think that's a very important part of the healing process. And I think that answers your question about how do we empower ourselves as victims. And I think we need to talk about it. We need to break the silence, take away the shame. And that is the very first step in the healing process.
And that does it for our street debate here in Johannesburg. And of course, this conversation doesn't end here. We're interested to hear what you think, what your experiences have been in the country that you find yourself in. Of course, that conversation continues on social media. Bye-bye.
A big thank you to Christine and everyone who shared their story. We really appreciate it. As usual, you can watch the full street debate on our YouTube channel. Now, we asked you on social media what needs to be done to end this violence against women. Abdulaziz Issa Gadanya from Nigeria says the authorities should intervene in this matter by imposing severe punishments on all those found guilty of sexual assault. Kitonsa Alansava from Kampala says we have to create awareness, speak up against it, and remind both men and women that there is no greater joy than love. Abdul Salam Adamu from Nigeria says it's our collective problem. Parents, judges, and community members. Together, we have to fight this evil. So, many comments talk about awareness and working together to protect women and girls. That's also the message of a song produced exclusively for the 77% by Namibian Kwaito artist Ease. In Namibia, the brutal rape and murder of a young woman have led to a tremendous outrage in the society. Under the hashtag #ShutItAllDown, young people took to the street, demanding an end to sexual and gender-based violence.
See, this is my life, and I've got the power to choose. To choose between wrong and between right. And what I choose is my decision. Come on now, tough. choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I don't wanna be a loser. Just take my hand and let's change what we see now. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I'm a winner, not a loser. It's your choice, my friend, don't be afraid now. Yeah, this is for all of my sisters. You should never live your life full of mistrust. You are strong, you are beautiful. To treat you any less unconstitutional. Hey, oh, baby, it's on now. Time will change, make the right from the wrong now. Shut it down till they all understand. We are the 77%. Cause from now on, enough is enough. Show respect, break the silence, man. If we unite, we are tougher than tough. Let's stop all the gender-based violence, ma. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I don't wanna be a loser. Just take my hand and let's change what we see now. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I'm a winner, not a loser. It's your choice, my friend, don't be afraid now. Yeah, now let me ask you, my brother. Would you ever disrespect your mother? Yeah, you say you're the king, but do you know what it means? Cause real kings always take care of their queens. Yeah. Oh, where are the real men now? We don't rape, we relate and protect now. Shut it down till they all understand. We are the 77%. Cause from now on, enough is enough. Show respect, break the silence, man. If we unite, we are tougher than tough. Let's stop all the gender-based violence, man. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I don't wanna be a loser. Just take my hand and let's change what we see now. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I'm a winner, not a loser. It's your choice, my friend, don't be afraid now.
It's clearly a problem. We clearly have a situation. Women, girls are going missing. Their body parts are being taken. This should be a state of emergency. This should be the kind of day that you actually shut the country down, because the entire country feels this moment and we don't want to go through this again. No woman deserves to go through this. We all deserve equality and a safe life.
Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I don't wanna be a loser. Just take my hand and let's change what we see now. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I'm a winner, not a loser. It's your choice, my friend, don't be afraid now.
Thank you, Ease, for this empowering song. The great news is that you can join our fight against violence against women and girls. You get a chance to be featured in an exclusive version of Ease's song. Just send us a video of you singing or dancing to the song to 77@dw.com. And the best thing is you can win some wonderful prizes as well. For more information, check out our YouTube channel. From a powerful song, now on to a strong woman in Ghana who is using her voice to empower others.
This is for the girls who would say, it's not about my needs. Look beyond the shiny, attractive wrapping paper. Look beyond my sexual curves, smooth skin, great thighs, and beautiful legs, to the even greater mind inside.
She's an actress, a fierce feminist activist, and a media personality. Don't try to put Nana Akosua-Hansen in a box. Her native Ghana is democratic but conservative. Akosua cuts the figure of an upwardly mobile independent rebel.
I was raised by a really strong woman who was very, very independent, who for a long while in my life was the breadwinner. And she and her sisters, my mom and her sisters are they are the powerful God Queen mothers of the family. So that was an example I saw growing up.
The 29-year-old explores female self-expression in a deeply patriarchal society. No subject is off limits, including Ghanaian taboos like sexuality. Art is Nana Akosua's chosen weapon. In her graphic novel, Moon Girls, 4 super heroes with superpowers fight back against the oppression of women.
This is one that follows the stories of what may arguably be the first African queer superheroes who are trying to solve our problems within Africa. Think of corruption, patriarchy, homophobia.
Akosua's activism is already having a positive impact, even just by starting a conversation.
I want Moon Girls to be a part of the fabric of of our time today, you know. The reception's been great. Everything that people keep saying is, I didn't think of this way. I didn't think of that way. You can see what we intended for it to be, where it's a conversation starter or making you see things in other ways you don't usually see things.
The radio and TV host blends pop culture and feminism. She reaches out to thousands of young Ghanaians on an evening radio show.
Sometimes my listeners will tell you, Charlie, Akosia just they talk too much. She's annoying me too much. And sometimes it's like, yo, we want to hear this now. So it's a continuous dance. But this is how I try to do it. I try to be really peace, chill zone. Let's have a good time here. And that way, when I chip it in, you listen to me.
Akosia's work towards promoting stories of modern African women and inspiring Ghanaian feminists hasn't gone unnoticed. She has been awarded a Washington Mandela Fellowship, which emphasizes leadership and academia. But what are her hopes for the feminist movement in Ghana?
For a future that really centers the African woman, where the African woman is allowed to be her free, true self, live her truth. And we all are understanding of the diversity we come in, and we create social systems that allow for everyone to thrive.
Whether it's on the page, in the studio, or on the stage, Nana Akosua Hansen is chipping away at the patriarchy, one story at a time.
This is for the girls who would bring a new meaning. This is for the girls who would correct the fallacious stereotype. This is for the girls who are not his girls, but their own woman.
The girl in our next report is proof that you can always make an impact regardless of how old you are. Sheila is just 11 years old, but she's already an accomplished artist. Actually, her CV is so impressive that I have to admit I'm a bit jealous.
Sheila is in her element whenever she picks up her paintbrushes. The young lady is regarded as a child prodigy, wowing the world with her passion for art.
My name is Sheila Sheldon. I am 11 years old. I am an artist, designer, a model, a singer, and a public speaker, but most people know me as an artist.
Born and raised in the Kenyan port city of Mombasa, Sheila developed her love for drawing and painting at an early age.
First, I had discovered that I could draw at the age of 5 years old. So when I used to be in school, I loved drawing and painting. I used to be #1 in class. And so the teacher noticed that and decided to tell my mama about it.
Since then, her paintings have taken her to many places, from Kenya's State House to the US and India. With the help of her mom, Sheila has also uploaded her artworks on social media, catching the attention of the mighty and famous.
I have been able to meet 2 presidents, the president of Kenya, who's paying for me my school fees, and the president of Uganda. I have also won a couple of awards. The first one was in 2018 in the US, when I went to teach children how to paint and draw.
Sheila's portraits, and especially her lions, have since become her signature works. Ever since she sold her first lion painting for 1 million Kenyan shillings, roughly 7,500 euros, Sheila has a unique connection with lions.
My lions usually explain my emotions, what I go through. Like the colorful lion, I do a colorful lion because there's bright colors, there's dark colors. That explains how the journey is. Sometimes I use light colors because I'm happy. Sometimes I use dark colors because I might be sad. And you can see through the lion's eyes what the journey they've gone through.
Inspired by her Kenyan upbringing, but also by global icons and artists like Pablo Picasso and Joan Miró, Sheila's home has become a palace dedicated to her artworks. Sheila's mother is the talented girl's greatest support system, even though she says that she hasn't always had it easy in life.
I really suffered to make Sheila be where Sheila is today. And I think for us women, seeing somebody like Sheila, my daughter, doing great job out there, I feel happy.
When Sheila grows up, she wants to become an architect. But until then, she hopes to continue to develop her artwork and seize all the opportunities along the way.
I'm totally impressed, and I wish her all the best for her future. Well, with that, we've come to the end of today's show. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can always get in touch with me and the rest of the team. Just send an email to 77@dw.com. My name is Liz Shaw. I'll leave you with the song by Ease, calling on each one of us to make the right decision and stop gender-based violence. Enjoy and see you next time.
But it's right, I don't hurt nobody. I don't wanna be a loser. Just take my hand and let's change what we see now. Can you see I'm a chooser? I just choose what is right, I don't hurt nobody. I'm a winner, not a loser. It's your choice, my friend, don't be afraid now. Yeah, this is for all of my sisters. You should never live your life full of mistrust. You are strong, you are beautiful. To treat you any less unconstitutional. Hey.